Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Terima kasih kepada para hadirin kerana sudi meluangkan masa pada hari ini. Selamat datang ke webinar series 3.0 I Want to Further My Study and Specialise Part 2. Anjuran unit hal ehwal pelajar dan alumni Fakulti Pergigian UiTM dengan kerjasama SMF Pergigian UiTM. Terlebih dahulu, saya ingin memperkenalkan diri saya, Nur Syasha binti Samauddin, pelajar tahun 1 Fakulti Pergigian UiTM selaku MC anda pada hari ini. Untuk makluman semua, webinar series pada kali ini merupakan sambungan dari siri sebelumnya yang bertujuan untuk memberi gambaran lebih jelas kepada para hadirin tentang hala tuju dan persediaan yang perlu dilakukan untuk bergelar sebagai pakar pergigian dalam bidang-bidang tertentu. Di samping itu, program ini juga dianjurkan untuk merapatkan hubungan silaturahim antara pelajar-pelajar dan alumni-alumni dari Fakulti Pergigian UiTM. Sebagai pendahuluan, saya ingin menjemput Yang Berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim Abu Hassan, Dekan Fakulti Pergigian UiTM untuk menyampaikan kata-kata aluan. Dengan ini dipersilakan.
Terima kasih pengacara majlis Cik Syasha. Yang berusaha Timbalan Dekan Formadia Dr. Masur Alis, panel jemputan khas alumni kali ini, Alif, sorry, I'll be more casual other than your full name, Alif, Zihan, Mel, dan Hash, for agreeing to accept the invitation by our HEP to be the panel for tonight. And of course, all the committee members who have made this program possible, and to all our audience tonight. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate again HEP and SMF for conducting this the third series of alumni homecoming, and this time around we have been very active in connecting our alumni back with our faculty members, and also most importantly with the junior in the faculty. So we hope that this series of connecting alumni with our faculty, be it the staff or student, especially with your adik-adik, the faculty will be useful, and they will find it interesting, and to further or to get connected with, share your to hear your experience. So this time around, again, it is as you might know, it's part 2 of how to become a specialist. And the last time we had, of course, another 4 alumni. 2 were spending overseas. That was Anissa, she was in London, and Naza, who was in Otago at that time. And in fact, you could remember she was under quarantine when we organized that webinar. And then, of course, Ameh and Fadli was in the UM. So this time around, we hope that Alif, Zihan, and Mel, and also Hash can also share your experience with your little brother and little faculty to get them motivated to become a specialist later on when they have fulfilled all the requirements. At least most of the time, we are going to do a specialist program. You might need to have some at least 2 years experience working before you're being accepted. Your postgraduate program. So again, thank you to Zihan, Hash, and Alif. I hope that you can contribute. Maybe in future, if we organize more program, and of course our HCP unit and SMF, we organize more program. Maybe you can come on. Maybe you can organize better if of course the student overseas will not be able to just face-to-face program. So we sometimes be more effective when we have face-to-face besides doing the webinar series. So again, I thank the HUP and ZMS for organizing this event. As I said, this is the third series that we're organizing, the Alumni Homecoming, and we really hope that we can get connected with all our graduates that is working, that is studying, and always will come back and contribute in one way or another to help our, or not to promote or to entice or give moral support, share the experience to our the students in the faculty that is with us now. Again, I hope that this session again tonight. I remember the last time the session extend was quite late. So tonight the program said at 9:45. I guess it should if from the last time it goes up to 11 o'clock. If not mistaken. So anyway, if session is interesting, your juniors we don't mind listening to your experience. Okay. So again, thank you for inviting me again to say a few words to tonight's event, and we really hope that it be useful to our students to listen to your talk, your experience whilst pursuing or in pursuing the postgraduate program, be it this time in UK or in other parts of the world. Okay, Australia, Mohammed stop sharing experience in Australia, where they have maybe as a private practitioner who joined UKM to do a postgrad. Okay, so all right. Again, I leave it back the program to Shasha or MC to continue with the program. Thank you very much again for inviting me to say a few words for tonight's program. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, over to you,
Waalaikumsalam
Shasha.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Datuk. Terima kasih atas ucapan aluan kata-kata tadi daripada Dekan Fakulti Pergigian UiTM. Okey, pada kali ini kita akan meneruskan dengan slot pertama kita, iaitu sesi perkongsian mengenai cara terbaik dalam membiayai pengajian anda seperti sendirian oleh Han bin Kasim. Dr. Amirul Zehan merupakan fakulti pergi yang bergraduate pada tahun dan memegang BDS UiTM. Diploma dalam bidang sains, membership of Faculty of Dental Surgery MFDS Royal College of Edinburgh. Beliau kini menceburi kursus Doctor of Clinical Dentistry in Endodontology di Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Beliau juga sedang berkhidmat secara separuh masa dalam bahagian endodontik di Klinik Pergigian Presidental Shah Alam dan Klinik Pergigian Dental Park di Kajang. Tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, saya ingin menjemput Dr. Amirul Zehan untuk meneruskan slot. Silakan Dr. Amirul Zehan.
Sorry, saya mute. Sekejap. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat petang to fellow colleagues, friends, lecturers, and thank you for inviting me for this session. I would like to extend my thanks to Datuk Profesor Muhammad Abbasan dan Professor Madia Dr. Masur Relis for the invitation. So basically, since this is a sharing session, I will do my presentation campur-campur lah ya, English and Malay, but my slide will be in English. I'm sorry, I don't put...
I am sorry. I am very sorry to interrupt, but would you like to present your screen?
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, but sorry.
Yes.
Present now. Okay, nampak kan? Hai, nampak tak my screen right now?
Nampak Dr. Zihan?
Okay. So, okay, I'll continue. Uh, I'll just sharing about my journey as a postgraduate student. Currently, I'm in year 2 in Declined Endodontology at University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And currently, I'm still doing my part-time basis at Klinik Pegian Presidential and Klinik Pegian Dental Park Tajang. So just a background for me, I'm the third batch of BDS UiTM. Then I was served to KKM for my first year dental officer at Sabah. Then I've been serving Sabah for 2.5 years before I joined private practice in Shah Alam. Then after been practicing about 6 years, I pursued my postgraduate training in endodontology. And currently I'm in second year. So what motivation that made me to continue my BDS study is this is my aim. I want to be a specialist, even though the interest might be changed. Actually, during my end of final year, actually I more interest to do public health. But after that, after I've been practicing in private practice, I developed my interest into endodontology. Then I continue my study in endodontology. Then another factor is I want to improve myself because I know this is lifelong learning. Being a dentist or doctor is lifelong learning. So kita sambunglah belajar juga kan, walaupun banyak tekangan dan halangan, tapi kita cubalah. And I also inspired by a circle of friends. I've made a lot of my ex-lecturer, my friends yang continue study. Then the surrounding also encouraging me to continue to further my study. That's why I continue my study lah. Unfortunately, since I've been in private practice since 2015, I have to further my study as private candidate, or actually the term is actually self-funded student. So what is self-funded is basically kita fund our own study lah, and getting financial help either from family or friends to pay our tuition fee, something or whatever expenses that we need during our study. And we receiving financial assistance direct or from an external funder. For example, contohnya kalau ada angel investor ke, ataupun ada orang bagi pinjam, macam tu lah. So I will share about my I'm not sharing the very details how I fund my study because I think it's a bit tricky for my part, and there's a some issues, personal issues I'm not sharing, but I just bagi brief information what as a private candidate have how self-funded student can pay their tuition fee, and how we can sustain during our postgraduate student. Actually, it's not easy, but I think at this stage, I managed to do it. So Alhamdulillah, I'm still in my clinical endodontology program. So basically, I hope my sharing will give certain some insight for those who are in private practice who plan to continue their study. How we find our study? First, definitely, as private practitioner, I don't have any scholarship or any usually scholarship lah kan from either Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi or Kementerian Kesihatan. So basically, there's only two options that we can do to fund our study. First, by own saving. Maksudnya from our own pocket lah, kita simpan duit sikit-sikit, insyaAllah lama tu jadi bukit lah kan. Then kita kumpul untuk bayar our tuition fee. At the same time, if let's say you working at private practitioner or even in government service and you took KWSP as your pension, as your retirement scheme, there's a certain amount that can you in account too that you can take out to pay your tuition fee in the future if you plan to continue your study. So basically, even though kita private practitioner doesn't have much benefit in terms of scholarship to continue our study, there's a few loans that allows us to continue our study. Definitely one is personal loan lah, from banks or any other uh, financial institution yang bagi education loan. It's either personal loan yang memang macam orang buat personal loan untuk bayar diorang dia whatever they need to do, then ataupun you can use that personal loan to pay your tuition fee. And maybe if you're in private practice, you can talk with your employer. They can give some assistance in terms of paying the tuition fee, and maybe you can pay it later, or you some sort of financial assistance lah. At the same time, as private candidate, I also encourage friends who want to continue study, try other education loan that offered by other financial institution, especially macam MARA, Koperasi Jaya Diri. This MARA is for Bumi Putra, and Koperasi Jaya Diri currently it is koperasi, but you have to be member of the koperasi. Then you can make a loan up to, if I'm mistaken, up to 200,000 ringgit for medical or dental related fields to become specialist. Other than that, Yayasan Peneraja also offering a loan, but currently the loan is not in, they are not do the advertisement yet. But during my time, I continued my study in 2019. They're also offering some sort of financial loan to pay my tuition fee, and but there's a few ni lah macam how much after we how much the payment scheme macam mana, or some banks yang allows education loan, for example like macam Bank Rakyat, Maybank or CIMB, but basically most of it macam personal loan lah. There's a few things that you have to know when we do loans for education loan. First, let's say the bank is offering you loan for education, or it's still like macam personal loan. Let's say you make a loan 100,000, you make it for 9 years installment. Basically, you have to pay like macam I about 900 something. So basically, once you get the money 100,000 ringgit, you still have to pay every month 900 ringgit. The line sikit, bukan macam you make a loan to PTPTN. After you finish your study, baru bayar loan. No, it's not like that. For education loan by bank, once you get the money, you have to pay installment dia lah. Even you are still studying. Somehow for Koperasi Jaya Diri, if I'm mistaken, they allows you to pay it later after you graduated. And some of the education loan, diorang ada pengiraan yang berbeza. For example, Bank Rakyat last time they offered loan yang let's say you make a loan and you get the money, they only pay per schedule of your tuition fee, then you only need to pay the interest rate of particular amount that you get along for that semester, plus misalnya semester 1 you get 20,000, you only need to pay the amount interest for 20,000. Let's say the second semester you get another 20,000, so you have to pay the amount interest of 40,000 for the next 6 months lah, macam tu. But it still depends on loan bank yang bank tu punya term and condition lah. You have to check with the banks. that was during 2019. I'm not sure how the loans works right now. For those who are interested, maybe boleh check details of this loan yang offered by the bank. Before I pursue more, I'm just nak disclaim, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not financial planner. I'm just sharing my experience while how I pay my tuition fee. So I'm not advising anything here. I am not advising you to take loan mana. But this is how I. Tapi PTPTN only offer for the whole semester, for the whole year, for the whole 4 years program. PTPTN only offered 16,000 ringgit. So basically macam 6,000 ringgit in 4 semesters. So basically one semester they only offer 4,000 ringgit. That's the problem. I think maybe the high up, maybe the faculties or any stakeholder have to maybe can have discussion with PTPTN maybe in the future. They say they can allow to increase the rate, the PTPTN punya jumlah pinjaman for those who wants to continue specialty training in local university lah. Other than that, candidates, students, kita check students lah kan, bila dah masuk dalam program kita anggap students lah, boleh pinjam buat permohonan ke zakat negeri or zakat university to pay to give financial assistance. Alhamdulillah, last time during my early semesters, I managed to get around 2,500 ringgit per semester from zakat university. It's not that much compared to my tuition fee, but at least it helps you to ease some of your burden lah. And nowadays, currently, universities start having a university endowment fund. This endowment fund sometimes is contributed by the alumni, by the stakeholder of the universities. So that dia korang pun ada certain fund that can yang student boleh apply lah to get some financial assistance to pay any issues with diorang punya tuition fee. Next one is Yayasan Pelajaran Negeri. You may get some certain amount from Yayasan Pelajaran Negeri, but like I mentioned, the amount is not that much lah. I understand the situation right now. The tuition fee is very high for local or even overseas program, but this is how we play around lah, macam mana I play around how I pay my tuition fee. And another things that I advise to my friend who wants to continue in I know it's a bit tough to pay the tuition fee, but you can request also to pay the tuition fee in installment from the university. Basically, what I did, if let's say the person in every semester I have to pay around 20,000, so I'll email, I contact unit Kewangan Pelajar and I ask them to do payment of the tuition fee in installment lah. I bayar dalam 3 kali macam tu to ease my financial situation. Okay, so when we want to continue, that's how I share just general how I pay my tuition fee. But as for those who in private or in KKM yang muda-muda ni kan, yang baru start endop program apa semua, I just give you the ideal timeline how you want to continue your study. So basically, currently from my discussion with those yang ada masih kat KKM, let's say you are in endop right now after 1 year waiting. So in endop you have to wait another endop 1 year. Then after that you do your contractual service 2 years. Either if you're accepted, you have to go. You can stay in government, or if you are not accepted, you have to go to private. Then nowadays, after you've been serving as permanent officer di KKM, you have to wait another 3 years to get 3 years consecutive SKT to allow you to apply for HLP interview. Then after that barulah you can apply for postgraduate training. This is if you want to follow the KKM punya timeline. Then if in private practice, you need at least 2 years experience. Contohnya you already done your endop program 1 year, then another 1 year as a general dental surgeon. Then you can continue your postgraduate training. Let's say if this is the ideal timeline. If you get accepted in your first try attempt macam tu lah. But this is not the ideal. We live in non-ideal world, so basically sometimes your journey is a bit longer. Okay. So this is the clinical training. Basically endodontology kita ada 2 je kat Malaysia. Ada UiTM dengan UKM. The fee is about 100,000, 160 to 130k. Then it's full time lah, and somehow I manage to I still do locum while in weekends to sustain my life, my inilah. And what you have to prepare, this is what you have to prepare during your interview. Just prepare and hopefully you can do well during the interview. Inshallah, you can get accepted. Endodontology is not that tough for the interview because it's not it's less competition. Okay, so these are the challenges. I'm not explain much because I have shorter time to explain about these things, but definitely life is hard. Being a private candidate, you need to work and you need to work to get some money to sustain yourself. But you can afford social life, or your weekends you spend on working. Tapi I have fun during during postgraduate training. I learned some things new. So I'm not discourage you to not continue further as private candidate, but you need to plan when you want to continue your study. So this is just a tips. You need to set financial needs, consider jobs and making money. For example, let's say you plan to do endodontology. KKM is not sending any endodontology program, so you have to consider to stay in KKM. Then learn how to spend less and manage budget, because you need to save if you want to further as private candidate, and avoid credit card debt. That's most important, and determine how best to finance your colleague expenses. This is just general plan for those who are living in Gold Spoon. I don't think this is a big problem for you. So my final advice: postgraduate training is not that easy. You need motivation and perseverance. It's very long journey. It's very tough journey for those who are in private. For those who are private practice, a private candidate, they spend a lot of time to work while dealing with studying. So some of them are terkandas, tak sampai habis. So it's not that easy. Plan your career as early as possible. If you are not still belajar lagi, you have to know your aim. Nak jadi specialist ke tak nak jadi specialist, it's okay not to be specialist, but you have to plan. If you want to be specialist, you have to take option. Either you want to continue yourself by shorter duration of time compared to following KKM. If KKM, you need at least 6 years to be able to continue study. If you're willing to wait, you can get the scholarship. But you are not willing to wait, you want to be specialist as early as possible, you have to start saving up lah. And postgraduate journey is personal. Some people having different difficulties. I'm also having different difficulties compared to my friends. So, but at the end of it, you can get the sweetness of it. So final, my friend looking for research assistant, for those who are GRA or for those who are in this interested to be the research assistant can contact Dr. Fatin, Nur Fatin, as advertised. And that's all from me. Can contact me through email or through Facebook or Instagram. I'm happy to answer your question. Or let's say if you not really sure how to finance your study, or you want to get personal advice, you can contact me through these three methods. Thank you.
Terima kasih Dr. Amir Zehan atas perkongsian yang menarik sebentar tadi. Kini kita akan teruskan dengan sesi soal jawab. Sila kemukakan soalan anda di ruangan chat YouTube. Baiklah, soalan yang pertama daripada soalannya berbunyi begini. Hi Dr. Amir Zehan, why is it that endodontology is less competitive than other courses?
I did mention sebelum ni endodontology tak dihantar, KKM tak hantar program endodontology. So basically your competition only within university candidate or private candidate. Unfortunately, you have to take note, some of the program may not be open annually. So you have to take note also bila buka. Macam UiTM currently we are not open until 2022. Then UiTM this year still already open, and hopefully next year open juga lah. But the competition is lesser compared to if you want to continue ortho or prosto or restorative dentistry.
Terima kasih Dr. Amir Zehan atas jawapan yang memberangsangkan. Harap maaf atas kekangan masa. Soalan-soalan yang masih belum dijawab akan dibalas melalui email. Dan terima kasih juga atas soalan yang telah diajukan sebentar tadi. Kini kita akan meneruskan dengan slot kedua kita, iaitu sesi perkongsian mengenai persediaan dan perancangan yang perlu diketahui untuk melanjutkan pelajaran di Australia oleh Dr. Melati binti Mahmud. Dr. Melati Mahmud merupakan batch pertama Fakulti Pergigian UiTM yang bergraduate pada tahun 2011 dan kini memegang ijazah sarjana muda pembedahan pergigian BDS UiTM. Kemudian beliau menyambung pelajaran di Australia dalam Doctor in Clinical Dentistry Prostodontic. Kini beliau adalah seorang pensyarah prostodontik di Fakulti Pergigian UiTM dan telah berkhidmat selama hampir 10 tahun sejak tahun 2011. Tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, saya ingin menjemput Dr. Melati untuk berkongsi tentang pengalamannya.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Shasha, am I sharing the screen right?
Yes, you are.
All right, sure. Thanks, Sasha. Thanks, Sasha, for the introductions, and thanks everyone for joining us tonight. So, as mentioned by the MC just now, my name is Dr. Melati Mahmud. So, I'm the first batch of UiTM dentistry. Currently working in UiTM. So tonight it's basically about, like specialist training in Australia. So I'm going to simplify things in terms of the requirements and also so I think in terms of the preparations, all of our speakers will talk about it before this, and also Dr. Zee will talk about money, which is, I think it's so interesting. And now I'm basically sharing my experiences doing a postgrad studies as an international student in Australia, and also the life, after the postgraduate studies. All right. So so I graduated UiTM in 2011, and I did clinical prostodontics in Adelaide and finished in 2017. And I came back and being a clinical lecturer in the Centre of Restorative Studies department in Faculty of Dentistry. So that's my email. I just put it down just now. Just remember that Dr. Zehan mentioned it at last. You guys can, like PM me or email me if you have any questions about, like studying in Australia, that you want to share your thoughts and all. So these are the public universities that are available in Australia. They have also private unis as well, but mostly private unis cater the undergraduate studies and undergraduate students for BDS, and also the PhDs. So these one are the public universities that are, within the world ranking global ranking universities. So we have 2 in Queensland, which is the University of Queensland, the UQ, Griffith University in Queensland as well. The first dental schools in Australia, which is the University of Sydney, and we have University of Melbourne in Victoria, and the one that I've been to was the Uni of Adelaide in South Australia, and also we have another one which is Perth in Western Australia. Australia is big; it's like 10 times bigger than our country. So it's basically it's a totally new experience for me and my family. However, I'm basically will talk about the pros and cons of living in Australia and doing the postgraduate studies. So one of the best about like further your studies in Australia is like it is a Western countries, but within just one there's no long haul flight. It's just like one stop. There's no stop. Sorry, just like one way flight. Where the one that I've been to is Adelaide. It's just like 7 hours flight, and Melbourne is like 7 hours and 50. The longest that we have is Sydney, which is 8 hours and 50 minutes. So you can choose. I mean, it's like it's cool and it's good where your family and friends can come over and while you're studying there, and also if there is any emergency, like family emergency, so you can just go back to Malaysia in just like one way flight, which is I think that's awesome. All right. One more thing that is very important is the weather. So over there we have summer, autumn, winter, and spring, like in the UK and the US as well, and some of the countries. So we have December, January, February for summer. So basically the intake for postgraduate studies in Australia is starting from January, and then the whole December will be a semester break, and we have winter in the middle of the year. So it depends where you are. So it's very, like I mentioned just now, it's very large countries. So we have Darwin, and then up north there is a tropical countries, and we have on the right upper where we have Queensland, Brisbane. It's basically tropical countries, like feel like Malaysia. So it's humid, and you can like it's like sweating over there. And also Sydney and Melbourne is basically the same. They have a warm temperature in summer, where like sometimes they say it's like Melbourne and Sydney, they have like 5 weathers in a day. They can have sunny days, sunny rain in one day. Adelaide is nice. It's a warm temperature. However, I feel that it's a bit extreme weather in summer, where like last time it was like 40 degrees. That's the hottest that we had last time. And it's not humid. It's very dry, and it's very, very dry. I don't like it at all. Perth is well, I think it's tolerable. It's one of the one of the spot that most Malaysians goes to. All right. So first, I'm gonna talk about the specialist training pathway, how you want to further study in Australia. So I'm gonna talk about as a private candidate and also as a sponsorship students. All right. So there's lots of pathways, and I also included the importance during the important document that you can prepare and you can look into how you want to prepare yourself. All right. Basically, this one is not just coming, for a few months or few years. I think it's more like, long-term planning, where, you guys are very young, and then, you have time to, to plan all these things. All right. And if I were a private candidate, I can choose between these two. Like being a dentist in Australia, you can go through the visas, from the Australian government, and however, you need to have the ADC, which is the Australian Dental Council assessment. So they have 2 levels of assessments. Sometimes they do have the first stage assessment in July, and then they have the exam in the January the next year, and then you can become a dentist in Australia, providing that you have, make sure that you have lots of money, and also, the sport that the sport for you to practice. right, in Australia. And then when you bring a dentist in Australia, you take more time and then you can settle down, you can bring your families and so on, depends on the visa that you have at the moment, at that time. And then being a permanent resident, and then they can invite you to be a citizenship. So I'm not sure whether how much is how long is the range from being the permanent resident and also to the citizenship. So, however, to proceed to postgraduate studies, permanent resident citizenship, they have this like a loan by Australian government. You still need to pay, but not as much as the international candidate. So you are like local candidate, proceed in postgraduate studies. So your fee is slightly lower, and you also can get help from the Australian government. So while you're doing the study, they give you allowance and the tuition fees, and also remember you are the citizen, and you also can work while doing your postgraduate studies. All right. And after the postgraduate studies, you can be specialist in Australia. Over there, it's a specialist center. It's like, that it's a developed country. So most of the people like to go to, they know what kind of treatment that they want. All right, and they have a good referral from the GP as well. So it's basically, like very nice, relationship between these in their practices in dentistry over there. And then you also can do the part-time teaching as well. So, and you can live, the work-life balance over there is like, I like it when when I saw my friends of doing it as well. As a citizen. And as a private candidate, you can also proceed to postgraduate study, providing that you have lots of money to pay the tuition fee as an international student over there. And you need to go through this Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. You can look up, that is APRA. So postgraduate studies is very different between states. It's last time when I was there, it was 21,000 for a semester. So it's roughly about 42,000 Australian dollars. So you basically need to times 3 for a year. Right now, I can see from the University of Queensland, the fee goes up. It's basically 62,000 per semester. So a year is like 100 plus thousand. Okay. Like Dr. Zan mentioned just now, there's lots of loans, there's lots of, you can have the, simpanan, lama-lama jadi bukit. So, and then you can have, this postgraduate study running soon, as soon as possible, if you want to proceed with the postgraduate studies. And then after finishing the postgraduate study as a private candidate, you can be a specialist in Malaysia. You can come back and then work as a private specialist center and also the teaching institution, which is you have no bond with any institutions, and then you can practice. You can open your private clinics and do your prosto works. Specialist work. All right, so from the postgraduate studies also, you can go through the APRA again and register as a private specialist, and then you can work there. But basically, there's lots of documents by APRA, and then there's also some fees that need to be paid as well. As a sponsored candidate by KKM or MARA, or as a KPT, as myself, I went there under Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi scholarship. So I went through the APRA agency. So after you've done with the university requirement, except the IELTS requirement, which is different. Some universities required 6.5, but however, even though you're already accepted into the uni with the IELTS, you cannot touch any patients without registering with APRA. APRA English test is 7 each, cannot below than that. So if you already are registered as a student over there, you cannot touch any patients unless you get that 7 each for the English registration, English test. And then as HC policy is mandatory, it's very compulsory for all international students. That is the insurance for yourself to study over there, and then you need to go through all these visas, student visas, and plus if you bring your families, you need to include them in the visas as well, and the fees are included as well for the insurance. All right, so and then you proceed with your postgraduate studies, and then you come back, serve your institutions in KKM or private specialist center for locum, and also your teaching institutions. As for me, I came back in 2017, so now I'm in UiTM. Like my teaching and learning is my priority. However, I still do the clinical work in UiTM as well. We have and also in a private specialist clinic where I only do the prosthodontic works, which I like. I like it so much, where we have the referral from the from you guys, which is awesome. All right, so I just want to share this where my friend Steph, Dr. Fiza, she was my junior last time. She's now she's an Australian citizen, and then now she's working as a Canberra prosthodontics clinic. So they have just a specialist, just a prosthodontics specialist clinic. It's just not the prosthodontics, but however they have the clinics mentioned, just a periodontic clinics or maxillofacial clinics. All right. All right, so these are all the available declined disciplines in Australia. Some of them have, I think most of them have prosthodontics except the UQ, and you can look up in their websites. The structures is 3 years full time, normally January intake, and it includes a specialist clinical dentistry where you do patients and you have lots of requirements, and also research dissertations as well. So that includes your proposal and proposal presentations during the research day, and writing with 40,000 words. You also sometimes in some other schools they don't do undergraduate teaching. However, in my school, Uni Adelaide, we do the undergraduate teaching, where it include the simulation clinic, simulation lab, and also the clinical teaching as well. The requirements specific into respective university, basically it's all the same. You need to complete 2 years of general practice. You need to have official academic transcript, degree, award certificate, full CV. Those are the ones. Research publications is the one that they always looked into. A personal statement about yourself, why you want to further these studies. Evidence of APRA registration, where you need to register it when you are in Malaysia. So basically, you need to pay for it first, or you cannot do, you cannot proceed with the studies. Evidence of brackets primary examinations or equivalents such as MFDF or MJDF, they also accepted, and evidence of English IELTS minimum 7 each, which look into the APRA one. Some of the university, they need to do clinical assessment program, where you go there and then you sit for this program where they do the clinical observations and situation judgment test, which was an assessment. All right. So from my experience, most of the dental school conducted the clinical practice connections to their public dental hospital. They don't have the, like ours, we have UiTM hospital, but here, but over there, basically the uni doesn't have the hospital. So we basically treat their public dental hospital, where we really need to have a good relationship with the hospital to practice, and also we need to have another credentialing that I mentioned, the one at the bottom, which is clinical credentialing and police check. So lots and lots of documents that you need to prepare, not just for the uni but also the hospitals, and also the dental board registration just now. All right. These are the other things as well. It's not just studying, but also managing, this APRA. This APRA dental board is compulsory before entering clinic. I had an experience with my friends in Sydney where he already registered with the school, but then he cannot touch patients because the IELTS to the Sydney is basically 6.5 minimum. However, he cannot register with APRA because the IELTS is 7, should be 7. So this is like very compulsory. All right. So the fee is $710. It's not covered by the scholarship and should be renewed every year throughout your 3 years full course, all right? And then you got this card over there and also certificates. OSHC policy. So last time I paid 4,146 for multiple family. I think it's like 115 for single, and also however it can be covered by scholarship. All right. EPA is a radiation license. I'm not sure with in other states, but in South Australia, in Adelaide, we need to pay each year. So as we operate in the X-ray practice, well, I've got lots of clinical experiences in there. I like it where, like you basically, evidence-based dentistry, you really practice evidence-based dentistry over there by looking at the literatures and good journals, and, and then you can practice on your patients, and, lots of discussions with your supervisors as well, and also as if you want to further in prosthodontics, definitely the lab work. The lab work is compulsory. You cannot ask you cannot simply ask the technician to do your work. You basically need to do yourself. From my experience, if you do the lab work by yourself, you gain more insight toward your cases. You practice more, not practice more for as a technicians. However, you know the case very well, and then you can talk about the case. It's like just like that. All right. I've got lots of, like such a good experience with all the patients there. However, you really need to be ready. It's such a new environment for you. For me, last time, like it's not just wine and roses. I do have my struggles as well. I believe that we are not really critical enough. We are not being analytical. So as when we discuss about our cases, where we really, we really need to be proactive. How to manage the cases, how to conduct the clinical management, and also all these the postgraduate structures in terms of the seminars. It helps you a lot. Okay, I also got helps from my seniors as well and my colleagues. Research and publications. Research is compulsory as a DE Clean Den. Thesis is like very important, where like if you basically need to choose the research that you like. Like basically need to do something that you like lah. Otherwise you don't have passion for it, and if you have some sort of struggles, you need to have the perseverance to overcome it. And it's not easy doing research in other countries. You get the ethics. It's not just ethics from the university. My research is on the psychological testing in public setting, so I need to go to South Australian government, where they concerned about their psychological questionnaires among their patients. So that was quite experience for me. But you cannot avoid it. Research is a must in DCLIN and studies. All right, publications. I'm sure right now all the postgraduate need to have some publications. So I had one published, and I had published my during the postgrad studies, and also the one on my thesis as well. CPD, this is what I like the most, where sometimes the uni give you grants and give you allowance to go for this CPD, this or Prosthodontic Association. So we're very active in terms of these associations. I went to Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney, and also Perth. They give you opportunity to go there to meet, to do some networking with the local prosthodontists. Okay, and also I would say I think me and my colleague is the only two that is Asians that wearing a scarf. And most of the prosthodontists in Australia are male, so we're very low number as a female prosthodontist. So you can see it's not a struggle, but it's kind of a challenge for us as well. All right, so after all, this is not just a certificate for me. I think like even though I feel relief, I finished my postgraduate study. However, it's more than that. It's it's just like the life experience is the best teacher. I think that is the you know, like the quotes. I think after this postgraduate studies life. So my journey was not smooth. I have my struggles as well. So my close friends knows me very well. You know who you are. So, you know, like, so you see the one on the right is basically the certificate that they give me opportunity to, you know, do some teachings, undergraduate teaching. So they train you well. I mean, you know, it's just you need to be, you know, you basically need to grab the opportunity and do well, be persevere and be positive with all the tests. Okay, so you see, I've got all my families over there. Sometimes I bring my husband, and then all my kids are still with me. So that is the most important one. Okay, it's not just a certificate, it's basically just the life experience with your with the people around you. You know, you met lots of new friends, new slang, and so you just need to be ready with the you know, swearing of the slang that you don't know, especially within the public hospital. So it was such an experience. Take it, or you know, just take it as your best teacher in life. It's like your life skill. So at last I can say I made it. So so when you want to start, so you just need to tanamkan dalam hati you, you know, like with your niat, good niat, and then tanamkan hati you, okay, one day I will honestly say I made it. I think that's all. I hope it's beneficial for you guys. Like Zehan said, like Dr. Zehan said just now, you know, it's like it's you just need to be persevere. It's doable. It's doable. You just need to persevere. You know, and just do it. That's all for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Melati. To be able to say I made it is actually a real big quote for us actually, and to have a certificate that actually resemble our experience. Yeah, that is experience is the real lesson for our life. Thank you Dr. Melati for the sharing. And sekarang kita akan teruskan dengan sesi soal jawab. Dan soalan yang pertama diajukan adalah, salam and hi Dr. Melati, I have a question. What makes you choose prosthodontic as your specialty?
So is this from Nabila Husna, is it? Thank you, Nabila. It's easy to say, but you know, like I think I already know since, maybe this is like overclaim ke whatsoever lah. Tapi waktu I year 3, I dah tahu dah, I suka sangat prosto. So waktu I year 3 undergrad, alright. So I have this mentor, and you just need to have a good mentor, and you know, like know what you want to do. I mean, waktu third year tu I dah suka dah prosto. So yeah, itulah. I mean, it's up to you lah. I mean, you just need to be focused lah. That's my personal answer lah. Kalau I nak jawab, of course lah, you know, like you like designing, you know, you like all this artistic work and blah blah blah. That is so boring. But for me, the year I dah memang suka prosto. You just need to, you know, like there's some driven like by the lecturers and so on. So basically, I have a good teachers.
Terima kasih Dr. Melati. Okay, kita akan teruskan dengan satu lagi soalan, iaitu soalan terakhir. Hi Dr. Melati, can you share more the clinical observation and situational observational test that was under the clinical assessment program?
Okay, so basically, you need to go there. Last time in Adelaide, we need to do it's like a case discussion with the program director. They will ask you about this case and based on the slides and so on. Tell them about your, you know, some sort of management. It's very simple cases, and I think they just want to know your, you know, you're already shortlisted already. So they just want to know what's your you know, your it's like your ideas in treatment planning. Are you an aggressive kind of person? Are you being innovative and so on? And then the other one is basically clinical assessments, where you need to do some crown prep. Last time in Adelaide, we need to do crown prep. And also a goal only prep as well. And it's not just the prep that they're looking, however, they're looking at your posture and basically how you being a dentist lah. It's not just the prep, the end result.
Terima kasih Dr. Melati atas jawapan yang diberikan. Harap maaf atas kekangan masa, soalan-soalan yang belum dijawab akan dibalas melalui email. Terima kasih atas soalan yang diajukan juga tadi ya. Sekarang kita akan meneruskan dengan slot ketiga kita, iaitu sesi perkongsian mengenai cara menyediakan diri sebagai pelajar lepasan ijazah semasa berkhidmat di Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia KKM, iaitu oleh Dr. Muhammad Alif Ikram bin Nur Zari. Dr. Alif Ikram merupakan batch keempat yang bergraduate pada tahun 2014 dan kini memegang ijazah sarjana muda pembedahan pergigian BDS UiTM dan juga membership of Faculty of Dental Surgery MFDS of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. Kini beliau sedang menyambung pelajaran Doctorate in Clinical Dentistry Prosthodontic di University of Edinburgh. Tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, saya ingin menjemput Dr. Alif Ikram. Persilakan. Dr. Alif Ikram minta unmutekan mic.
Okey. Okey ke?
Boleh Dr.
Hello. Okey, terima kasih Puan Pengurusi Majlis. Yang dihormati Datuk Prof. Mat Ibrahim, yang berusaha Dr. Mas Suralis, yang dirindui lecturer-lecturer kawan-kawan yang menonton di YouTube saya rasa, dan juga yang dikasihi kepada semua yang hadir lah. Assalamualaikum dan terima kasih saya ucapkan kerana menjemput saya untuk berkongsi pengalaman saya. So, my name is Alif Ikram. I was from 4th batch, class of 2009-2014. Currently on study leave from KKM, and I would like to share on how to prepare yourself for postgraduate studies while working in KKM. Alright, seperti yang Dr. Zehan dah share tadi, ini for this timeline is for those who are willing to wait. Like Dr. Zehan said, siapa yang nak cepat boleh pergi after endo, boleh terus keluar daripada government and sambung. But this one is for siapa nak tunggu and for HLP. So my brief career timeline in KKM started in 2014, where I worked as a FIDO in pergigian daerah Muar, where I was being posted 6 months to do primary care, 4 months in oral surgery department, 1 month for PITS, and 1 bulan where I had the opportunity to choose between restorative, periodontic, and also orthodontic. So that time I know that I will be doing restorative, so I chose to undergo restorative attachment ke JB dengan Dr. Samsan Nizah. So after 6 months, after I've completed my fellowship, I had the opportunity to serve back Muar for 6 months in primary care. But that time I knew that my kecenderungan is more to clinical stuff. So that time mana yang saya boleh apply was either oral surgery or in clinic endodontic. Tapi oral surgery masa tu dah full. So endodontic clinic pula tengah mencari officer. So I apply and I had been selected. Seperti semua orang tahu, in KKM, kes-kes restoratif, terutama sekali endodontic dibagi mengikut coding, iaitu mengikut Restorative Dentistry Index of Treatment Need, RDITN. As we work in KEPP, short form untuk clinic endodontic, we need to attend to case number 2, code number 2, which is moderate case. So saya bekerja di klinik endodontic dengan primer selama 2 tahun di bawah penyertaan Dr. Norsita. Di situ saya belajar handle juga kes-kes endodontic dan juga management of endodontically treated tooth, macam buat post-core dan juga crown. Dari situ saya punya interest untuk sambung ke bidang restoratif. Masa tu saya tak tahu sama ada nak prosto ataupun resto. Semua orang tahu yang di KKM endo tak ada lagi. So lepas 2 tahun di klinik endo, saya dapat peluang untuk jadi pegawai pergigian yang menjaga di unit pergigian restoratif klinik pergigian Bakri, di mana saya lebih saya lebih terexpose kepada kes-kes kod 3 yang kes-kes lebih sukar, involve multidisciplinary cases dan juga oral rehab. Lepas daripada 2018 sampai 2019 saya pindah ke Putrajaya. Saya melalui attachment mingguan masih di unit pergian restoratif. Masa tu saya dah mula develop interest in prosthodontics. Dengan Dr. Aswani saya melalui attachment dengan Dr. Aswani. Last kali hujung tahun 2019 ke 2020 saya pindah ke klinik pergian ceras dengan Dr. Balkis. That time saya lebih terbuka kepada kes-kes maxillofacial prosthodontic. Sebab banyak kes yang kita join sekali in multidisciplinary dengan oral surgery, dengan ortho, perio. So dari situ saya suka untuk sambung belajar in prosthodontic, especially in maxillofacial prosthodontic. So, apa yang saya boleh rajah kiri ni yang saya dah buat list down apa yang kita patut buat atau apa yang saya cadangkan boleh dibuat sekiranya kita my tips lah, my advice if kalau nak sambung belajar. So masa FIDO or endo, sekarang endo saya tak pasti macam mana attachment, tapi waktu sekarang waktu kita tengah nak tahu apa kita punya interest, which specialty yang kita think that we want to work in for the rest of our life, mana yang kita cenderung. So kita boleh try kalau diberi peluang untuk attachment ke, ada course ke, seminar ke, join. So kita boleh kenal pakar, kita boleh tahu mana yang kita suka. So after lepas dah habis endo atau FIDO, being promoted to dental officer, waktu tu kita boleh start apply for attachment sama ada weekly, monthly ataupun as permanent. Masa dah jadi dental officer, dah melalui attachment, saya memang galakkan untuk kita prepare logbooks. Logbooks ni macam your own case report. Bukan yang you tulis apa benda yang you dah buat. It's not that. It's like you pilih satu case yang you rasa okay. Even simple macam you buat single canal curve sikit, ataupun you buat composite restoration 3-3 lah. So you tangkap gambar before, tak gambar after, and you prepare cantik-cantik buat dalam macam case report. Kalau boleh cari literature yang support apa yang you buat. So it will show that you understand apa yang you buat, you understand the case. And other than that, waktu dental officer ni kita boleh prepare untuk ambil exams. Saya rasa Dr. Reza dah share last session, kita boleh ambil MFDS, MJDF ataupun BMS. It's actually not only to add untuk menambahkan kita punya extra qualification, tapi also untuk nampak kita punya effort and also menambahkan kita punya knowledge lah. Lepas kita prepare semua ni, kita tunggu HLP punya interview. Dekat KKM, selalunya yang dia offer adalah HLP ataupun cuti belajar dengan HLP, di mana kita kena prepare research proposal, exam ataupun scholarship lah. Saya akan huraikan lagi after this. So dengan KKM kita ada basically ada 3 cuti belajar yang kita boleh apply. First is cuti belajar tanpa gaji, kedua cuti belajar bergaji penuh dengan HLP, ketiga cuti belajar bergaji penuh tanpa HLP. Tiga-tiga ni berbeza dengan apa yang bergantung kepada program apa atau kursus apa yang kita nak. Contohnya cuti tanpa gaji mengikut kefahaman saya masa saya apply tahun 2020 last year, tanpa gaji ni bila kita apply khusus yang tak diiktiraf dalam senarai dia. Maksud cuti belajar bergaji penuh pula, bergaji penuh dengan HLP pula bila kita apply dalam senarai, tapi untuk buat masa sekarang dia cover untuk dalam negara saja. Dan cuti belajar bergaji penuh tanpa HLP di mana kita apply khusus yang tersenarai tapi mainly kepada luar negara. Perbezaan 3 ni adalah selain daripada program apa kita nak sambung, juga kepada kontrak lepas kita habis belajar. Mengikut kefahaman saya, kalau dengan HLP, kontrak dia 7 tahun, tanpa HLP 4 tahun. Untuk pengetahuan semua, saya di sini sama belajar dengan under cuti belajar bergaji penuh tanpa HLP dengan tajaan luar. Okay, tapi saya itulah. Alright. Untuk syarat-syarat permohonan untuk kita dapatkan 3 cuti belajar tu, kita kena undergo satu interview juga, iaitu interview HLP yang samalah. Syarat-syarat dia saya summarize. Dia sedang dalam perkhidmatan tetap dan telah disahkan dalam perkhidmatan, telah berkhidmat 3 tahun, LMPT atau SKT 85% purata bagi 3 tahun yang tertinggi daripada 5 tahun terakhir, dan juga menyediakan kertas cadangan penyelidikan ataupun research proposal. Pada saya research proposal ni tak perlu yang bombastik sangatlah. Yang simple pun boleh. Yang penting dia ada implikasi kepada negara. Sebagai contoh, masa saya apply dulu, saya punya research adalah to compare the complication of bridge among dental officer dengan dental specialist. So, saya nak compare complication rate tu mana lebih tinggi, so that saya boleh tahu kalau complication rate tinggi di so apa yang kita boleh do to tackle this condition, this situation. Macam kita buat guideline ke, kita tambah lagi banyak pakar ke, and alhamdulillah dengan research tu saya dapat HLP juga. Okay, untuk pemilihan lepas kita dah apply course apa yang kita nak, kita kena pilih universiti dan kursus mana yang kita nak sambung. Selalunya kesenaran kursus dan universiti ni dia bagi dengan surat tawaran, tapi kita kena ambil perhatian juga. Macam contoh, semua tahu saya sekarang di University of Edinburgh, tapi program yang saya sedang sambung adalah di Clinton Postgraduate, dan saya ada membership of faculty dental surgery, tetapi kerajaan tak mengiktirafkan saya punya di Clinton sebab apa yang dalam senarai mereka adalah M Clinton. So kalau saya nak saya punya di Clinton tu diiktiraf, saya kena sambung lagi dengan ambil membership lain seperti membership of restorative dentistry MRD ataupun MPROS. So saya kena baru saya boleh register sebagai pakar pergigian di Malaysia. So sedikit sebanyak tips untuk interview. Lepas kita dah hantar kita research proposal, dia akan shortlist kita untuk interview. Soalan lazim yang dia akan tanya first ialah tell me about yourself. So soalan dia sebenarnya bukan cerita kita anak keberapa, suka makan apa. It's like lebih kepada kita punya nama kita universiti mana, kita kerja kat mana, skop kerja kita apa, skop kerja kita tu apa skop kerja yang kita buat yang akan improvekan kita punya knowledge dengan skills. Lepas tu kita ada involved in any research or publications, kita ada buat apa-apa community engagement, and kita boleh juga explain what would we like to do during free time sebab dia orang nak tahu macam mana kita manage time. And last kali bukan dia tanya, kita kena bagi tahu dia apa yang kita akan buat kalau kita dapat sambung belajar, like apa yang kita boleh contribute to the society. Lepas tu, lepas dah cerita pasal diri sendiri, cerita pula pasal research proposal. Pada pendapat saya untuk research proposal, kita boleh ikut, saya pergi interview di UiTM untuk program. Saya rasa cara UiTM approach candidate untuk buat 3-minute thesis adalah cara yang paling berkesan, sebab kita dengan 3 minit kita kena cerita pasal proposal kita. So kita tak merapu, kita fokus dan cerita apa yang penting saja. So memang sangat bagus untuk practice TMT tu. Okay, and saya kata tadi ada involvement in any research or QA or inovasi KIK. Saya juga ditanya pasal auditing experience. Interview tanya juga pasal time management. Ada join any volunteer or any hobbies, like dia tanya saya dulu saya pergi hiking dengan marathon. So dia kata pandai you bagi masa macam tu lah. Dia tanya juga pasal how you see yourself in the future. Masa saya pergi interview ni, saya dah tahu yang saya minat preservation prosthodontic. Saya buat research sikit pasal the treatment yang patient dapat. Saya dapat figure daripada oral surgery yang about 40% dapat ideal treatment dengan 60% dapat compromise treatment. So saya bawa data figure tu pergi interview Dan saya cakap dekat interviewer, kalau boleh saya nak set up one clinic, maxillofacial clinic di KKM punya setting. So alhamdulillah dengan tu saya diberi peluang untuk sambung belajar. Okay, I would like to thank my family and friends, my kawan-kawan di UiTM, kawan-kawan sepanjang kerja dan juga last but not least kawan-kawan di Edinburgh, Dr. Natra, Dr. Laila, Dr. Faizran, KKM, JPA dan juga Mara. So, apa yang saya sangat setuju dengan Dr. Melati cakap tadi, yang we are not really critical and analytical. So, itu memang cabaran saya yang paling besar sepanjang saya dah start belajar di sini. Tapi, I know, you just got to do what to do kan. Buat sajalah. So, with that, I open for any question and boleh email saya kalau ada soalan. Sekian.
Terima kasih Dr. Alif atas kongsi yang sangat menarik sebentar tadi. Kini kita akan teruskan dengan sesi soal jawab. Sila kemukakan soalan anda di ruangan chat video. Okey, nampaknya kita ada kekangan masa dan sekarang ni masih tiada soalan. Jadi saya akan teruskan dengan slot yang seterusnya. Slot yang seterusnya adalah slot yang terakhir iaitu sesi perkongsian bergelar sebagai pelajar di United Kingdom dan persediaan yang perlu dilakukan untuk merealisasikannya oleh Dr. Ahmad Hashris bin Ruslan. Dr. Hashris merupakan batch ke-6 yang bergraduate pada tahun 2016 serta memegang ijazah sarjana muda pemudahan pergigian PDS UiTM selain diploma in Science juga di UiTM. Beliau kini sedang menyambung pelajaran dalam bidang ortodontik di University of Edinburgh. Tanpa melengahkan masa lagi, saya ingin menjemput Dr. Hashris. Dipersilakan.
Okay, can you see my slide? Okay, thank you, Ms. MC, for the introductions. Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon to everyone who is watching in UK and good evening to everyone in Malaysia. My name is Hashrit. I'm the 6th batch of UiTM. Previously, I had a diploma and then I qualified as a dentist in 2016. And then from there, I worked as a contract officer in Klinik Pergigian Kelana Jaya. Yes, I'm among the first cohort for the contract officers for about 1.5 years. And then I decided to resign and join private clinic and work at Klinik Pergigian Dr. Smal Putrajaya for 1.5 years. And currently, I'm pursuing doctorate in clinical dentistry in orthodontic in University of Edinburgh. So today, I'll be sharing to you about everything that you have to know if you want to study in UK and what to expect and experience as a postgraduate ortho in University of Edinburgh. Currently, University of Edinburgh ranked at the 20th in QS World University Ranking for 2021. This is important if you are looking for funding opportunities or if you are looking for sponsorship because most of the fundings only sponsor top universities. So it's really important for you to look for top universities for your funding. Before you prepare with your specialist interest or any programs that you want to do, you should know your interest first. You cannot be doing something that is out of you'll be doing like oral surgery and then you're applying for orthodontic. You have to know your interest and your interest has to be consistent with the programs that you're applying for. So, but being an endop actually limits you in terms of exposure because you are exposed only to oral surgery and also pediatrics. So you don't really get exposed in terms of prosto, perio, or even orthodontic. So being an endop, what I did was I get a private attachment in a private clinic. And I also documented a few of my cases and also the cases that I've seen. So the journey of my preparation start off in 2019 where I approached one of my supervisor who is Dr. Aina on the left. She is also one of my lecturer in UiTM who happened to have who owned a private clinic in Selangor. So I approached her during one of the conference, I think it's KIT that time. And I asked her whether is it possible for me to be an orthodontic intern in her clinic. And then she said yes, because it's a mutual kind of relationship where she has an assistant, and I got to learn and to have an overview what orthodontic is all about. So throughout the attachment, I've learned a lot of basic orthodontic, be it removable, functional, and I also learned like simple procedures like placing separators or cementing the molar bands. And most importantly, I learned the art of taking records, communications, and consent, because these are important elements when it comes to postgraduate preparations. Because the first years of postgraduate program, you'll be taking a lot of consent, a lot of records for your patient. These things really benefits you for your program, and I cannot imagine if I don't do this kind of attachment, I wouldn't be like, I mean, my journey in first years would be a problem. And she also pushed me to sit for an exam and also to join presentations in one of the orthodontic conference. So in that particular year, I joined Malaysian Association Orthodontic Conference and also joined the poster presentation as well. So by having this kind of attachment, attending conferences and also joining presentations, it shows the interviewer or the program director that you are really into that specialties. So once you're confident enough with all your, that building up your CVs, you can start looking around for universities. You can use like portals, you can Google, you can look for what courses about portal or even postgraduate portal where you can list programs that you want, and like you can type orthodontics program in UK and they'll list out the universities available for you. The good thing about that is they're going to have a ranking for that and also the fee or the cost fee for that programs. So once you know the list of universities available, so you can go to their each specific universities just to check on their requirement. Basically, in UK, they only need like 2 years of experience, clinical experience, IELTS roughly about 7, and if you have exam, at least first part of the exams, or if you completed the exam, then it should be fine. But bear in mind that it really depends on each university. Like in Manchester, they don't need exams, but the IELTS is slightly it's 6.5. For my universities, they need at least first part of the exams, and if you have any experience in research or audit, or if you have any publications, then most likely you'll be taken as a student. For Queen Mary, the IELTS is slightly higher, and for Eastman or UCL, they don't have any exams requirement, but you have to pay certain amount of money for the application fee alone. If I'm not mistaken, it's about £30 just for the applications. For Liverpool or King's College or even Cardiff universities, you have to take, it's best to have exam because they have stated in their university websites. But most of the deadline of the program, normally it will be in January for that particular year. So you have to know that there are like hundreds of applicants applying to this program to want to study in UK, but there are only 30 posts available for the international registrars or trainees. So you really have to fight for your spot. And once you are shortlisted for interview, you really have to like nail it. Okay, so for the applications, you have to apply it through the students portal, to the university portal, where you have to upload your CV. It can be your, it has to be updated. You can include your research background, your research, your publications, if you have any. And I think these are the things that you have to, the documents that you need to prepare, like your degree has to be translated to English. And there are universities that also want your transcript, your full transcript with a CGPA grades. Most of our uni would only have like a pass or fail kind of grading system. So if you want to apply to certain universities, you have to make sure that you comply to the grading system as they have mentioned in the website. So you also need to write about your personal statement as mentioned by Dr. Mel previously, where you have to write to them why do you want to study in that universities and why that particular course, and how do you see yourself in few years time once you're done with the programs. So you also need to provide some recommendation letter. It can be from your previous lecturer or previous supervisors, research supervisors, or it can also be your superiors in your workplace. It's also important to upload a good passport photos in the portal so that they can check on you. Okay, it's also like Dr. Alif have mentioned previously, it's also important to include your case or any your portfolio that you have seen in the attachment, throughout the attachments, or even if you are a private candidate like me, you just document your cases so that they know that you are really, really into that specialties and you have a basic knowledge of orthodontics. So once you're done with the applications, you will get invited for the interview. Bear in mind there are 100 of applications, then they have downsized it to a smaller number. So you have to kill that 20 to 30 minutes because that's the only time for you to get the attention. So you need to check the time differences. If you got the interview at probably 3 p.m. in UK, so you have to know whether it's like 10 or probably 11 p.m. in Malaysia. So you have to look fresh for the interview. So there are general questions like why orthodontic, why University of Edinburgh, and then I was asked what are the challenges of being a postgraduate student and how am I coping being away from Malaysia, because they just want to know whether you are married. From this question, if you're single, are you okay coping being away from Malaysia? But if you're married, how are you gonna if you have problems with the family, how do you wanna cope with it? So they also want to know if you have any achievement in terms of career, because they want somebody that is always progressing, because they don't want you to stay stagnant even you are done with your degree. So they just want to know whether you have made progress once you are qualified as a dentist. There are also some problem-solving questions and clinical scenario questions, like whether are you a good follower or you a good leader, and like a scenario questions like what are the options given for, what are the advice given for the patient wanting orthodontic treatment with poor oral hygiene. Since they have mentioned about the requirement in terms of research in their website, so they also ask you about the research background that you had done during your undergraduate. So you have to manage to tell them your research what you have done in your research, just so that they know that you have a good background research, a good research background. Because in University of Edinburgh, they don't have like formal teaching of research class, so you have to learn it at your own time. And some universities also require you to do wire bending and some tracings for the interview. So in terms of expectations, as a private candidate, I have to leave my job. I have to resign in order to pursue my dream. So I don't have any salary, but thank God I got funded by MARA under Professional Development Program. So that actually sustained my life in UK. But the good thing about it is I have the options to work in UK once I'm done with the studies. It's just that I have to take another exam so that I can practice here. So it's good that if you have own saving just to top up here and there, if you don't have any, if you don't touch good duit ke. So in case of emergency, you have to come back home, and then you have something, to back you up. And some people say that you're already in private, you have a stable job. Why do you want to pursue your dreams? Why do you want to continue your studies? Well, you can just settle being a normal dentist and set up your own practice. But that's just another school of thought. But then I just want to be a specialist. That's the reason why I want to be doing what I want. Dekat tempat sekarang ni lah. And then turning your life 180 degrees can be quite challenging because like I said, you have a stable job. Kenapa you nak susah-susah end up being a student? Because plus you have been spending like macam previously you are stress free, you are not you dah tak fikir banyak benda dah, kenapa you nak put yourself in trouble? So that actually requires a lot of sacrifice if you want to go into postgraduate journey, because you have to be away from your families, you have to be away from your loved one, the hobbies that you always buat, and then you have to stop that, put a career break on your put a career break for you. Okay. Another problem would be Scottish accents. It's very hard for all of us, I think, to comprehend the Scottish accent. It's as though as you born and raised up in KL, and then tiba-tiba you kena faham orang cakap Sarawak ke Sabah ke. So it's kind of hard initially, but over time, you're gonna get used to it. So the weather in Edinburgh is unpredictable juga, as sama macam dekat Australia, I think. You can experience like 4 seasons in a day, like currently it's spring, tapi tadi baru snow kejap. So it's really unpredictable. So you have to be ready for anything. You have to always be prepared with a thicker cloth. You also have to familiarize with the UK system, because the system is slightly different when it comes to the guideline, the consent consent taking, because some parents may not live with the kids, and then some, the caretaker may have the parental rights for the patient. So you have to understand the system, how the UK system works. Okay, in terms of clinical research or audit, you are expected to know everything, and you have to learn it at your own time. So, but then the consultant are easily approachable. So you can, if you don't know anything, you can just approach them whenever that you feel like you want to approach them. Okay, there are also cultural differences if you are studying abroad. Let's say you may be someone that is Muslim, and then probably, but then they're going to practice differently than how you were brought up. So you just have to learn to respect the differences, because probably that's the way they were taught, and that's the thing that you have to aware, that there's a cultural differences in studying abroad. Okay, there are also commitment in Malaysia that you have to think of, like if you have like cars, or you have houses that you bought before you flew off to study for your postgraduate, you still have to think about how you're going to pay your cars and houses at home. Okay, so in terms of experience, this is the dental hospitals. So University of Edinburgh don't have any clinic. We are working under NHLs. So most of our routines start at 9 o'clock in the morning. So the clinic start at 9:30 until 1. We'll have like 30 minutes lunch break. That's the only time for you to grab your lunch and to do your prayers. Okay, and then, but sometimes, most of the time, we skip our lunch because we have to prepare for afternoon clinic as well, because the afternoon clinic start at 1:30 until 4:30. But that doesn't stop there, because most of the time you go back around 6 or 7, just because you have to like organize your patients to prepare for the following the next day clinic, and for plannings, for tracing, and or some discussion with your consultants. So in terms of clinical sessions, we have like 4 clinical sessions for our patient per week. We have one new patient clinic once a week, and 1 session of joint clinic every 2 weeks. In terms of lectures, seminar, or case discussion, University of Edinburgh is in Scotland, so they divided into region. So any registrars or any students or any universities that offer the courses, orthodontic courses, will have like integrated lectures every Friday. So since I'm based in Edinburgh, I'll be traveling to Glasgow, University of Glasgow, Dundee, or Aberdeen every Friday to have lectures, seminar, or case discussion with the consultants in Scotland. So, but because of the COVID, everything has done virtually and through online, or else I'll be traveling every Fridays, and the university gonna pay for all the expenses. That's a good thing. Okay. You are also expected to treat 100 new patients throughout the whole 3 years. The good thing about being postgraduate orthodontic in UK, you don't have to do lab work. Tracing are done digitally, and most of the planning are done using software. Another bad side of studying in UK, you don't have any holidays. Like Dr. Alif, he has like a spring break, summer break, or even winter break. But for orthodontic courses in UK, you are only given 25 days of annual leave. It's as though as you are working. So if you want to apply for leave, you have to use that 25 days of allocations, the numbers of allocations, if you want to go back to your home, or if you want to travel or whatnot. So that's the downside of it. So you are also given about £1,000 allocations for conferences for the whole 3 years for you to join any of the conferences. If you have exceeded the amount of allocations, you have to top up using your own money. Okay, just a piece of advice to everyone who want to pursue orthodontic: find the right mentor and support group, because finding a good mentor and idol is really important to make you feel that learning is never enough, and there's always something that you can gain from them. And for the NDOPS officer or contract officer, do not succumb to the system. If you feel that you didn't get absorbed for permanent, that's not the end of the world. You can also always join the private pathway. Just find the right approach any of the specialists. Just ask them nicely whether you can do attachment, or even if you don't have any luxuries to have attachment, you can always document your case. Just build up portfolios, attend conference, build connections, and be inspired. Okay. You'll be surprised that you may like something during your undergraduate, But over time, when you are working, the passion will definitely grow during your growth into something else. Okay, and bear in mind also that postgraduate journey, there will be a lot of sacrifice needed. There will be a lot of peer pressure because your friends may have like open up their own practice or even branching out, and then you're still stuck there. You don't have anything at the moment. So, but eventually your time will come. You don't have to get pressured by anyone. You just be yourself, just do you, and things will be better in future, inshallah. And before I end my sharing, I'd like to thank my mentor on the right side, is Dr. Aina. She's a great teacher. She really mold and shape me to be a better person. And the person on the left is the bunch of group of friends that have been motivating me, like supporting me from the day one of the preparations. And I thank you for your attention.
Terima kasih Dr. Hashris atas perkongsian yang sangat menarik sebentar tadi. Kini kita akan teruskan dengan sesi soal dan jawab. Sila kemukakan soalan anda di ruangan chat YouTube. Jadi saya teruskan dengan soalan yang diajukan. Hi Dr. Hashris, may I ask how can non-specialists take more? Part 1. Isn't the requirement to take more is to have undergone PG training for 3 years?
Okay, yes, you can take of Part 1 in Royal College because for Royal College Surgeon England you can take Part 1 exam. It's just that you have to check which Royal College school that has allowed you to take Part 1. But for Royal College Surgeon in England, you are allowed to take for the first part of the exam. But if for Edinburgh, you have to undergo specialist training, then only you are eligible for you to take the first part of the exam. But what I did, I took the MORPH Part 1 in RCS, England.
Thank you, Dr. Hashris, for the answers. I proceed to the next question. Okay, great talk, Dr. Hash, meaning after you finish 1 year compulsory service as NDOC, you went to private clinic. But like you said, mostly uni requires 2 years clinical experiences.
Okay, thank you for the questions. So I did my NDOC for 1.5 years in clinic, in government, in KKM, and then I worked in private for 1.5 years. That's like 3 years of clinical experience. So basically, I passed the 2 years experience that's set by the universities.
Okay, thank you. And I'll proceed to the last question, which is, what are the various ways of obtaining funding besides MARA?
Okay, as for private candidates, if you are from well-off families, you can always ask your father and mother to sponsor you. Or if you have like a saving, you can use your own money. As mentioned by Dr. Zehan previously, you can use your bank educational loan or apply to Yayasan Negeri if you eligible for that. If you pass the requirements set by them, or if you want to, you can also approach some private clinic that willing to sponsor your studies. But that really depends, because some I heard some clinics really they will sponsor you if you approach them, but that really depends. I hope that answered the questions as a private candidate. Yeah.
And I think we haven't exit for the 5 minutes Q&A. So this is the last question, I think. Hi, Dr. Hashris. Have you ever considered pursuing your PG Ortho in local uni?
Okay. Well, yes, I did apply in local, and then few times, because the first time I applied in local, I didn't get it, and then it was 2019. The first time I had during my attachment, because I feel that I'm too young at at that point of time. And then in 2020, where I started to take things seriously, and I started apply both local and overseas. Alhamdulillah, I got UKM for last year, and also studying in UK. So it's just that UK, like, it's 3 years, and then you got a chance to study abroad. You can travel, and then plus you get to learn different things in UK because my mentor really, because she was from UK, she was trained in UK, so you see a lot of set of patients if you're studying abroad because most of the patients in UK are referred like quite early. So that's the thing that I really look forward for. That's the reason why I want to be in UK. But I do consider studying in local. But because of the time wise and then in terms of experience that you gain, that's the reason why I choose you abroad.
Terima kasih Dr. Hashriz atas jawapan yang diberi dan harap maaf kini terdapat kekangan masa. Soalan-soalan yang belum dijawab akan dibalas melalui email. Terima kasih juga atas soalan-soalan yang telah diajukan. Dan bentar. Di sini sebelum kita akhiri webinar kita pada malam ini, di sini terdapat iklan untuk para hadirin yang berminat menyertai Master of Dental Science di Fakulti Pergigian UiTM. Sila berhubung dengan email yang tertera di skrin anda. Akhirnya kita telah sampai ke penghujung acara. Dimohon para hadirin untuk mengimbas QR code yang tertera di skrin sebagai rekod kehadiran dan maklum balas program ini. Sekiranya para hadirin mempunyai soalan tambahan yang ingin diajukan, sila email soalan anda ke email uitmdentalhomecoming@gmail.com seperti yang tertera di skrin anda. Di kesempatan ini saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Yang Berbahagia Profesor Dato' Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim Abu Hassan, Dekan Fakulti Pergigian UiTM kerana menyokong penuh pelaksanaan program ini. Saya juga ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada Yang Berusaha Profesor Madya Dr. Masurialis Ahmad atas bimbingan dan tunjuk ajar dalam menjayakan program ini. Kepada para panel, Dr. Hashriz, Dr. Alif, Dr. Melati dan Dr. Terima kasih atas kesediaan anda semua untuk meluangkan masa pada hari ini, berkongsikan serba sedikit mengenai tips-tips persediaan melanjutkan pelajaran kelak. Sekalung apresiasi juga diucapkan kepada hadirin sekalian yang telah memberikan perhatian dan meluangkan masa mereka untuk webinar pada hari ini. Saya Nur Syasha bin Samauddin ingin memohon maaf andai tersilap atau terkasar bahasa sepanjang mengendalikan program ini. Dengan ini saya akhiri webinar series 3.0 ini dengan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam UiTM di hatiku.